Hey, welcome to the show again. We're going to talk today about efficiency. There's a lot of inefficiency in the landscape maintenance world. I want to address a few of those items so that you can be aware of them and avoid them and realize an efficient state. So going into 2025, we're going to be hammering the concept of efficiency. Let me lay out three basic concept that we deal with in the landscape. These concern three different areas. I've divided them into the soil, the mowing, and the irrigation. So let's talk about the lawn for a second. So most people are engaged in a synthetic system, and I can sum up synthetics as, without being derogatory, I can sum up synthetics as being man-made artificial products that are typically the result of derivative of the petroleum industry, which is fine. The problem with synthetics is that they cause a dependency on the synthetic, just like a drug. The more you put on them, the more they're going to need to get the same result. Now, this is more clearly evident in agriculture, but we're talking about lawns. Same fundamentals apply, but we're going to talk about the lawn. So when you put down synthetic fertilizer, it is just a handful of ingredients, elements, NPK, everybody knows NPK, you see it on the bag, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium for those of you that forgot your periodic table of elements. The other elements that they typically put in might be something to the tune of iron and sulfur are too common. There are about 21 different elements that the grass needs to be healthy. So ranging from nitrogen all the way down to selenium and everything in between that contribute to the overall health of the plant. Now, when you put down just a handful of these elements, you're really jipping the plant off. And you're also discouraging the microbes in the soil to be dependent upon the plant directly receiving the nutrition rather than the soil receiving the nutrition. So when you put down synthetics, you're going to basically make the microbes in the soil lazy. And in doing so, they will be inclined not to do anything. And the microbes in the soil are the basic element that creates structure, which is space in the soil. Now, space can be also defined as natural aeration, soil aggregates that are created by the sugars that the plant gives off, that the microbes consume and turn into glomalin, which is a soil resin. Bioglue is a more appropriate term. So when you do away with the microbes, you have a soil that collapses. And this is where the fun begins. Soil collapses, you lose structure, you lose the ability to infiltrate water, air, and resources into the soil. The lawn becomes anaerobic, attracts all those lovely pathogenic microbes that cause all the fun in the lawn. And you inhibit the ability for the soil to do its job, which is to work in harmony with the microbes to impart nutrients into the root structure. So this is where the dysfunction begins, and this is where all the cost, with services like aeration, power raking, weed control, insect control, and a lot of water take place. This is the dysfunction that everyone is paying for, and it manifests itself into things that I just mentioned that are really signs and symptoms of a dysfunctional soil. So that is the soil element. Let's talk about next the hydration. Because the soils are largely dysfunctional, most people never really achieve full soil hydration, or they have a really hard time doing it. And because the soil is compacted and difficult to get nutrients into, not just water, but air and nutrients. But we're talking about water. So most people water shallow. So in watering shallow, most of the water evaporates into the atmosphere, and you are basically paying for all that money floating up into the atmosphere. A lot of the water, I'd say probably at least 50% of the water that you put down your lawn never makes it down to the roots. And what it does, trains the roots to go, guess what? Go where the party is, which is up, and you develop a shallow root structure by watering shallow. And this is fine when it's 72 degrees out and we're getting some rain. But when it's in the 90s with single-digit humidity and wind, your lawn's going to take a beating. And because you have trained the roots to be near the surface where the heat penetrates the soil, and it doesn't have the ability to protect itself from the heat, and you spend the next months of June, July, and August typically getting beat to death with your water bill. And then come September, you have finally had it, and you back off the watering. September is the most important month out of the entire year. So when you back off of the watering, September is the last month out of the entire year where you can develop your root structure before the potential of a hard freeze in October. Typically, we have it by about mid-October. Changes from year to year. So people set their root structure up for failure, and they go through this cycle year after year where they turn off their irrigation system, they don't water for 6 or 7 months, and then they magically expect their lawn to hit the ground running in early to mid-May, whenever they turn the irrigation back on. And they realize that they probably have, mite and or winter kill damage that has to be repaired. They have to play catch up because the soil has gone hydrophobic, and they can't get water into the soil. And what does get into the soil is extremely difficult to get there and highly reluctant to be taken up by the plant because of the condition of the soil. All of this is avoidable. Most of the plants, I'd say 75% of all the sod, the grass, the turf, whatever you want to call it, the trees, the perennials, shrubs, things of this nature, 75% of all the plant matter that gets replaced every year is directly attributed to the lack of hydration in the soil. So this is a mindset and also a technique issue. And then we walk into the mowing. So mowing is experiencing a revolution that you might have heard me talk about over the past couple years. Is experiencing a sorely updated facelift, if we want to call it, towards automation. In Colorado, this is driven by legislation. Automated robotic mowing is taking the place of the gas-powered engine. And from the perspective of the contractor that moves from place to place, the single most expensive element of getting to a customer, I should say that the most expensive element of maintaining customers' lawns is getting from point A to point B. This has to go away in order for the service to stay cost effective and affordable for the clients. We need to figure out a way to eliminate as much of this waste as possible. And this can be realized through robotic mowing or, automating the mowing. So leaving a mower on site that cuts the lawn 24/7, that maintains an already cut lawn. And in doing so, you reduce a lot of waste, ranging from, fuel consumption, mechanical energy, noise, pollution, driving the vehicles from site to site. There's a lot of waste in the equation, and a lot of people are paying for this waste. So when you add up all the waste, the collective waste from, the mowing, from the irrigation, and all the inputs that are getting put into the soil on the lawn for the purposes of making it green, I would say that people are probably throwing away, anywhere on the low side, 40 to 50, to as much as maybe 70 or 80% of the energy that goes into maintaining a lawn is complete waste. And I want you to think about that for a second, because you're paying for it, and there is a solution for each one of these areas. Automation with mowing, techniques and modern technology with irrigation, and a biological approach to lawn care. And you can radically save a lot of money by altering your mindset, for starters, and realizing that there are better techniques and improved technology that are taking the place of ideas and mindsets and technology that are over 50 years old. So these are some of the concepts I want people to think of going down the road, because the cost of what you're experiencing in your landscape is largely driven by the operational expenses that go along with it. So if you can mitigate these expenses, you can not only cut costs, but you can increase the health of the lawn dramatically, eliminate a lot of toxic chemicals out of the lawn, reduce a lot of noise, reduce a lot of just tremendous waste that's in the system. So I want everyone thinking, going forward in 2025, to think about efficiency. We're building a system based on efficiency, not how many mechanical or human movements that we can achieve. That is where the waste is coming from. So we're going to talk about this more and more as the months roll on, but 2025 is going to be a really big year for us. We're going to be unveiling our Trinity program, which incorporates these three facets in a system that is designed to create efficiency and do away with the dysfunction in the lawn that's driving all the cost up. So I welcome any questions that people have. We want to get the word out about this. The industry needs to change. We have to improve. A lot of people are giving up on the lawns, and a lot of people are starting to view lawns as something that's bad, when in reality there's a lot of benefits to be realized from having a turf lawn, having a green space, having a living thing that lives and breathes and takes pollutants out of the air and spits out oxygen 10 times more than trees do. So there's a really dumb way to do it, and there's a really smart way to do it. And I really want to shed the light on the smart way of how to do things. And it's time for change. People need to adopt these new techniques and these new technologies. They're going to revolutionize how they view the landscape. It's going to make everything better. Hey, guys, short show today. We're going to be back, hopefully, in the next week or two with another show topic. Appreciate you tuning in. Y'all have a great week. Stay warm. And make sure that you keep the soil hydrated. On days when it's above 4 degrees, make sure you get the hoses out there and water everything. You'll be happy you did come springtime. And we want a lawn that hits the ground running the first week of April without you having to lift a finger other than doing a little bit of irrigation. So tune in, get informed, save some money, and become efficient. We'll talk to you later.